Everything that you desire is already yours. The wealth, the love, the joy. It is not something you must chase, it is something you must allow. But if you do not see it, if you do not feel it, you are blocking it. You are turning away from the infinite supply that is already present, already waiting for you to claim it. You do not need to beg, struggle, or toil. You only need to assume the feeling of already having it. Look at your life and notice where you are resisting abundance. It is not the world that withholds from you, but your own mind, your own state of being. Every time you say, I can't afford this, or I am struggling, or it never works out for me, you are shutting the door on the very thing you wish to receive. You are creating the lack, not because it is real, but because you have accepted it as real. The secret is simple. You do not receive what you want, you receive what you are. You must embody the wealth you seek. You must walk in the confidence of one who already possesses it. The feeling of lack cannot produce abundance. The feeling of limitation cannot create freedom. You must dare to believe in the unseen reality more than the visible circumstances. Do not ask when or how it will come. That is the trap of the logical mind, the part of you that insists on struggle and delay. The moment you truly accept that it is done, the outer world has no choice but to rearrange itself to reflect your new assumption. You have been waiting for the world to change before you believe, but it is your belief that changes the world. Every day you are given the choice to persist in the old or to step into the new. Your wealth, your success, your joy, they are already here. Do you have the courage to claim them? Abundance is already yours. It is not something you need to earn, chase, or struggle for. It is already present, already within you, waiting for you to recognize it. The very idea that you must fight for abundance is the illusion that keeps it at a distance. The moment you stop seeing it as something outside of you, something separate from your being, is the moment you begin to experience it effortlessly in your reality. Look around you. Everything you see, every experience you have, is the result of what you have accepted as true within yourself. If your world appears limited, if your circumstances seem to deny abundance, it is only because you have believed in lack more than you have believed in the infinite supply available to you. The world is merely a reflection of your inner state. The moment you shift your awareness, the outer world must conform. It has no choice. There is no external force holding abundance from you. No economy, no system, no person has the power to limit what is already yours. The only thing that blocks it is your own resistance, your own beliefs that tell you it is not possible, not available, or not meant for you. But abundance is not selective. It does not play favorites. It is as natural and ever-present as the air you breathe. It is only a question of whether you are open to receiving it. Think of a river flowing endlessly, supplying fresh water to all who draw from it. Some people stand at the banks with buckets, collecting all they need, while others refuse to dip their hands in, convinced that there is not enough or that they are unworthy of it. The river does not decide who may drink. It flows without judgment. Abundance operates the same way. It is not about deserving or proving yourself. It is about recognizing that the supply is infinite and available to you at all times. The key to unlocking this truth is your feeling. If you feel abundant, you will see abundance everywhere. If you feel lack, you will find confirmation of it in every corner of your life. The world simply mirrors back to you the state you hold within. You attract what you want, you attract what you are. If you walk in the assumption of wealth, the world will shape itself to reflect that wealth. If you walk in the assumption of struggle, circumstances will arise to reinforce that struggle. Many people believe abundance is something they must achieve through effort and hard work. They have been conditioned to think that success is the result of toil, sacrifice, and long hours. But if that were true, every hard-working person would be rich. Every person who labored endlessly would be overflowing with prosperity. Yet, We see time and time again that some of the wealthiest individuals did not achieve abundance through struggle, but through a shift in awareness. They saw themselves as wealthy before their external world reflected it. They embodied the state of abundance within, and the world had no choice but to follow. You do not need to force abundance to come to you. You only need to stop blocking it. You do this by letting go of the thoughts, beliefs, and feelings that keep it away. Every time you say, I can't afford this, money is hard to come by, or I never have enough, you are closing the door on abundance. You are declaring to the universe that lack is what you believe in, and so lack is what you will experience. But the moment you shift your inner dialogue, the moment you begin to say, wealth flows to me easily, I always have more than enough, and everything I desire is already mine, you are opening the floodgates. Your words, your emotions, and your assumptions are the key to unlocking all that you seek. If you could feel the reality of abundance now, if you could walk as if it were already yours, you would see it materialize in ways you never imagined. But most people hold themselves apart from abundance because they believe they must first see proof before they can believe it. They wait for circumstances to change before changing their mindset. This is the great misunderstanding. The change in belief must come first. The external world is simply the echo. Imagine a person who stands in front of a mirror, waiting for their reflection to smile before they smile. It would never happen. The reflection only moves when they move. In the same way, the world will only show you abundance when you assume the state of being abundant. You must smile first, feel the reality first, and then the mirror of life will reflect it back to you. This is why those who complain about money continue to experience financial struggles. They are reinforcing the state of lack through their thoughts, emotions, and words. Even when they receive money, their dominant belief in scarcity ensures that it slips through their fingers. They never truly allow themselves to feel abundant, and so the world cannot show them abundance. But when you truly accept that abundance is already yours, when you no longer feel the need to chase it, fight for it, or doubt its presence, it begins to flow effortlessly into your life. You will notice unexpected sources of wealth appearing. Opportunities will arise where none seemed to exist before. People and circumstances will align in ways that seem almost miraculous. This is not luck or coincidence. It is simply the outer world reflecting your inner shift. You do not have to know how it will come. The logical mind always wants to figure out the how, but that is not your concern. Your only task is to assume the feeling of already having it. The means will reveal themselves at the right time. The moment you decide that you are wealthy, that you are abundant, the universe begins moving pieces into place to confirm that decision. Abundance is not about numbers in a bank account. It is not about possessions or status. It is a state of being, a deep inner knowing that you are always provided for, always supported, always overflowing with more than enough. When you cultivate this state, money, success, and opportunities become natural byproducts. They are drawn to you effortlessly because you are no longer resisting them. There is nothing to wait for. The moment you claim abundance as your reality, it becomes so. The moment you stop seeing it as something distant, something to be earned or proven, it appears. You have always had the power to allow it. The question is, will you? Your thoughts create your reality. Every experience, every event, every circumstance in your life is a direct reflection of what you have accepted as true in your mind. There is no external force dictating your reality. There is no outside power shaping your destiny. The only thing creating your life moment by moment is your own consciousness. If you believe in lack, you will experience lack. If you believe in abundance, you will experience abundance. The world has no choice but to mirror back to you the assumptions you hold. Most people do not realize that they are the cause of everything they experience. They look at their circumstances and assume that life is happening to them, that they are victims of chance, fate, or external conditions. But nothing in your world happens without your permission. Whether consciously or unconsciously, you are always shaping your life through your dominant thoughts and beliefs. Even the things you do not want, the struggles, the disappointments, the setbacks, all exist because at some level you have entertained thoughts that align with them. This is not about blame, it is about power. It is about recognizing that you are not at the mercy of anything outside of you. If your world is not the way you want it to be, you do not need to fight against circumstances, change other people, or struggle against conditions. You only need to change your thoughts. The outer world is simply a reflection of the inner world. Consider a person who constantly worries about money. They wake up every day thinking about their bills, their debts, and how hard it is to make ends meet. They talk about their financial struggles to anyone who will listen. They reinforce their belief in scarcity with every thought, every word, and every emotion. And what happens? Their reality confirms it. Unexpected expenses arise. Money seems to slip through their fingers. No matter how much they try to fix their situation, they remain stuck in the same cycle. This is not because the world is cruel or unfair. It is because they are knowingly holding themselves in a state of lack through their thoughts. Now imagine another person who, despite not yet having great wealth, believes deeply that they are financially abundant. They do not allow temporary appearances to shake their faith. They speak as if they are prosperous. They think as if money flows to them effortlessly. They feel the reality of financial freedom even before it appears. And what happens? Opportunities begin to arise. Unexpected income comes their way. The right people, the right circumstances, and the right ideas seem to align perfectly. They did not have to struggle for it. They simply assumed the state of abundance, and the world conformed. This is not wishful thinking, it is a fundamental law of reality. You do not receive what you want, you receive what you are. Your subconscious mind does not respond to empty wishes or fleeting desires. It responds to what you consistently believe to be true. If you wake up every day feeling like a failure, the world will confirm that instead. There is no randomness in this process. The law is precise and unfailing. The only reason people struggle is that they do not realize they are always creating, whether they intend to or not. If you allow negative thoughts to dominate your mind, you will experience a negative reality. If you allow positive, abundant thoughts to fill your consciousness, your world must reflect that. It is as simple as planting seeds. Whatever you plant in your mind will eventually grow into your experience. Look at the thoughts you have been entertaining. Are they thoughts of fear, doubt, and limitation? If so, your life will mirror those feelings. Are they thoughts of confidence, joy, and abundance? Then your reality will reflect those states instead. The universe is not punishing or rewarding you. It is simply responding to the energy you put out. The mistake most people make is believing that they need to see proof before they can change their beliefs. They say, I will believe in abundance when I see more money in my account, or I will feel loved when the right relationship appears. But they have it backward. The belief must come first. The feeling must come first. Only then will the external world shift. Think of it like a thermostat. If you set a thermostat to a certain temperature, the environment adjusts to match it. If the temperature drops below the setting, the heater turns on. If it rises above the setting, the air conditioning kicks in. Your dominant thoughts and beliefs work the same way. They act as the set point for your reality. If you have a mental set point of struggle, your subconscious will constantly adjust your reality to match that struggle. If you set your mind to abundance, your subconscious will bring circumstances that reflect that abundance. You may wonder, but how do I change my beliefs if my current reality seems so real? The answer is simple. Stop reacting to appearances. Do not let what you see dictate what you believe. Instead, let what you believe dictate what you see. You must persist in your new assumption even when there is no physical evidence of it yet. Think of a gardener who plants seeds. They do not dig up the soil every day to check if the seed is growing. They trust the process. They water it, they nurture it, and they know that in time it will sprout. Your thoughts work the same way. The moment you plant a new belief, the outer world begins shifting to reflect it. But if you constantly doubt, if you constantly check and question, you disrupt the process. You must have the patience and faith to let it unfold. This is why imagination is so powerful. If you can close your eyes and truly feel the reality of what you desire, you are imprinting that state onto your subconscious mind. And once the subconscious accepts it, the outer world must rearrange itself to match. The key is to assume it is done, to live in the end result as if it were already true. Do not wait for physical evidence. Create the evidence within first. Most people wait for circumstances to change before they allow themselves to feel happy, successful, or abundant. But those who understand this principle do the opposite. They feel happy first, they feel successful first, they feel abundant first, and then, as if by magic, the world transforms to match their inner state. You have always had this power. It has been working in your life since the moment you were born. The question is, are you using it consciously or unconsciously? Are you allowing random thoughts and external influences to shape your reality? Or are you deliberately choosing the thoughts that align with the life you want? It is not difficult to shift your thinking. It only requires awareness and consistency. If you catch yourself dwelling on lack, fear, or limitation, stop immediately and replace those thoughts with something better. It does not matter if your current reality seems to contradict it. Persist in the new thought and reality will shift in time. You do not need to struggle against old conditions. You do not need to fight or resist anything. Simply create a new state within yourself, and everything else will follow. The world has no choice but to reflect back to you what you hold in your mind. If you truly live by this, there is nothing you cannot create. The only limits you experience in life are the ones you have accepted in your mind. Every obstacle, every delay, every circumstance that seems to be holding you back is not an external force against you. It is the reflection of an invisible boundary you have placed upon yourself. These limitations are not real in any absolute sense. They only exist because you believe in them. The moment you drop the belief, the limitation disappears. Think of the ways you have convinced yourself that something is not possible. Perhaps you have said, I can't achieve that because I don't have the right skills. Or I can't have wealth because I was born into a struggling family, or I can't find love because of my past experiences. These are not truths. These are merely assumptions you have accepted as fact. And because you have accepted them, your world has reflected them back to you. Reality is not fixed. It is fluid, flexible, and entirely shaped by consciousness. There is no law outside of you that says you must struggle. There is no force in the universe that determines how much success, love, or abundance you can experience. The only thing that governs your life is your own mind. If you accept limitations, they will appear real to you. If you reject them, they will dissolve. Consider a person who believes they are not good enough to succeed in their career. They may want a promotion, a better position, or greater recognition, but deep down they do not feel worthy of it. And so they unconsciously sabotage their chances. They hesitate to take action. They speak with uncertainty. They downplay their abilities. Even if an opportunity presents itself, they dismiss it as not meant for them. And what happens? Their world confirms their belief. They remain stuck in the same position, watching others rise while they stay behind. Not because they lack talent or intelligence, but because they have placed a mental barrier between themselves and success. Now, imagine another person in the same situation, but they believe in their worthiness. They may not have all the experience, they may not have all the credentials, but they assume they belong at the top. They walk into every room with confidence. They speak as if they already possess the qualities they desire. They persist, they take action, they embrace opportunities without hesitation. and reality bends to match their assumption. They rise not because of luck or privilege, but because they refused to accept any limitation on what was possible for them. This is true in every area of life. If you believe that love is difficult, love will feel distant. If you believe that money is scarce, money will always slip through your fingers. If you believe that success is reserved for others but not for you, then no matter how hard you work, you will find yourself struggling, not because life is against you, but because you have unknowingly placed an invisible wall between yourself and the life you desire. The key to breaking through these limits is not struggle. It is not about forcing or fighting your way to success. It is about changing the assumption that created the limitation in the first place. If you believe in struggle, struggle will persist. If you believe in ease, things will begin to unfold effortlessly. There is nothing external keeping you from your desires. The barriers you see are projections of the mind. If you believe that you cannot have something, your mind will generate reasons to justify that belief. You will notice obstacles, difficulties, and setbacks that seem to confirm your doubts. But the moment you shift your assumption, everything changes. The path that seemed impossible suddenly becomes clear. The resources you thought you lacked begin to appear. The people and opportunities that seemed out of reach come into your life effortlessly. This is not coincidence. This is the natural law of consciousness. Your assumptions dictate what you experience. The moment you decide that something is possible for you, reality rearranges itself to reflect that decision. Think of a time in your life when you overcame a limitation simply because you changed your mind. Perhaps there was something you once believed was out of reach, but then one day something shifted. Maybe you gained new information, maybe someone encouraged you, maybe you simply got tired of accepting less than you deserved. And the moment your belief changed, things started moving. What once felt impossible became attainable. This power is always available to you. You do not need external validation to break free from limitations. You do not need anyone else to tell you what is possible. The only thing required is a shift in your consciousness. The moment you assume a new state, everything else follows. Most people hold themselves back not because they lack ability, but because they fear stepping into a greater version of themselves. They have become comfortable in their limitations. They have accepted a life that is smaller than what they are truly capable of. But comfort is not the same as fulfillment. Staying within limitations may feel safe, but it also keeps you from the expansion, joy, and abundance that life has to offer. The moment you decide to stop accepting limitations, your world will begin to change. But you must truly believe it. You cannot say, "I am limitless," while secretly holding on to doubts. You cannot affirm abundance while secretly expecting struggle. Your subconscious mind knows what you truly believe, and it will always reflect that belief outwardly. If you want to experience a reality without limits, you must first become limitless in your mind. You must allow yourself to imagine and feel what it would be like to live without the restrictions you have placed upon yourself. Close your eyes and see yourself thriving, succeeding, expanding. Feel what it would be like to move through life with absolute confidence and certainty. And as you do this, notice how your energy shifts. Notice how the barriers you once saw begin to feel insignificant. There is no reason to wait. There is nothing you need to fix or improve before you step into your highest potential. The only thing required is a decision to no longer accept limitation as part of your reality. And the moment you make that decision, the world will reflect it back to you. Every desire you hold is already fulfilled in the invisible realm of imagination. What you seek is not something you must chase or struggle for. It already exists. The only reason it remains unseen in your physical world is that you have not fully accepted it as real. The moment you accept it, the moment you embody the feeling of already having it, reality must conform to your assumption. Imagination is not fantasy, it is the creative power that shapes your reality. Everything that has ever been manifest, every invention, every breakthrough, every success, was first imagined before it became visible. The same principle applies to your life. You are always creating, whether consciously or unconsciously. If you persist in imagining yourself as lacking, struggling, or being unworthy, then that is what the world will mirror back to you. But the moment you assume the state of already having what you desire, the outer world begins to shift. Think of a time when you strongly desired something and it seemed to come effortlessly. Maybe it was a job opportunity, a relationship, or an unexpected sum of money. If you look back, you may realize that at some point you had already accepted it mentally. Perhaps you imagined yourself in that relationship or anticipated the joy of having that money. Without effort, reality conformed to that state and the desire materialized. This was not luck. It was the natural result of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Now consider the times when things seemed difficult to attain. The struggle was not because the thing itself was out of reach, but because you placed doubt, fear, or resistance between you and its fulfillment. You imagined obstacles. You anticipated failure. You worried about how it would happen instead of assuming that it was already yours. The moment you introduce doubt, you delay the manifestation. The moment you believe in lack, you push abundance further away. You do not need to beg, plead, or struggle for what is already yours. The key is to embody the state of already having it. Instead of thinking of the desire as something separate from you, step into the feeling of it being a present reality. Close your eyes and imagine. How would you feel if it were already done? What would your life look like? How would you walk, talk, and carry yourself? The more vividly you experience this in your imagination, the faster it moves into physical form. Most people live in a state of reaction rather than creation. They look at the world around them, accept it as fixed, and base their beliefs on what they currently see. But reality is not static, it is fluid, shaped by the consciousness that perceives it. If you want to change your world, you must first change your inner state. You must stop looking at current circumstances as proof of what is possible. Instead, you must turn inward and assume the reality you desire, regardless of what the outer world appears to show. Imagine a person who wants to experience financial abundance but constantly worries about their lack of money. Every time they check their bank account, they affirm scarcity. Every time they pay a bill, they feel anxious. Their dominant state of mind is one of lack, and so reality continues to reflect that back to them. Even if an opportunity arises, they are blind to it because their inner world is filled with thoughts of limitation. Now, if this person were to shift their inner state, if they were to truly feel abundant, to carry themselves with confidence, to assume wealth as their natural state, opportunities would begin to appear. They would attract situations, ideas, and people that align with that assumption. The outer world must match the inner state. This is the secret behind every great success. Those who rise to the top are not necessarily the most talented or the most fortunate. They are the ones who have mastered the art of assuming their success before it becomes visible. They do not wait for evidence. They create the evidence by first believing in it internally. And because they persist in this assumption, the world eventually conforms. If you wish to experience health, assume the feeling of already being well. Do not wait for symptoms to disappear before believing in your wholeness. Feel yourself as vibrant, strong, and energetic. Walk, speak, and move as though perfect health is already yours. Your body will respond to this assumption. The cells of your body do not operate independently of your consciousness. They reflect your inner state. If you wish to experience love, assume the feeling of already being deeply loved. Do not look at past experiences as evidence of what is possible. The past only persists if you continue to carry it in your mind. Instead, feel the joy of a fulfilling relationship, the warmth of companionship, the security of love, already present. The moment you embody this feeling, the outer world will move to reflect it. This applies to every area of life. The process is always the same. Whatever you desire, assume it is already done. Live in the end result. Persist in that state. And reality must conform. This is not wishful thinking. It is the fundamental law of consciousness. The only reason people fail to see results is that they waver. They allow doubt to creep in. They check the outer world for validation instead of trusting the unseen power within. Faith is the ability to persist in the unseen reality until it becomes seen. It is knowing that the moment you have accepted something internally, it is already yours. The outer world is simply catching up. You have the power to create anything you desire. The key is not to struggle, not to chase, but to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Live from that place. Walk as though it is already done. Trust that reality will align with your inner state, because it always does. The world you see is nothing more than a reflection of your own consciousness. Every circumstance, every encounter, every so-called obstacle is merely a projection of your internal state. The limitations you perceive are not placed upon you by an external force, they are self-imposed. The abundance you seek is already present, waiting for you to claim it. The only thing standing between you and the fulfillment of your desires is the state of mind you continue to dwell in. Many people live under the illusion that they must work harder, push harder, or struggle endlessly to achieve their goals. They believe abundance is something to be earned, something distant that requires effort and sacrifice. This belief itself becomes the very thing that blocks the flow of abundance. They have unknowingly accepted the idea that fulfillment must come with struggle, and so the struggle persists. But abundance is not given to those who fight for it. It is revealed to those who accept it. It is not about effort, but about alignment. To allow abundance, you must first remove the barriers within your mind. The greatest of these barriers is the belief in unworthiness. Many hold on to the idea that they do not deserve success, love, or financial prosperity. They carry with them a subconscious story that says they must prove themselves, that they are not enough as they are. This story is an illusion, and yet it shapes their reality. They unconsciously sabotage their own progress, rejecting opportunities, delaying their success, or settling for less than what they truly desire. Abundance is not something reserved for the lucky few. It is the natural state of existence. Look at the world around you. The earth does not struggle to produce trees. The ocean does not strive to create waves. The sun does not question whether it should shine. Nature operates effortlessly in abundance because it does not resist itself. The same principle applies to you. The only thing stopping you from experiencing boundless prosperity is your resistance to it. The resistance comes in many forms: doubt, fear, hesitation, attachment to past failures. These mental habits keep you tethered to a reality of lack. You say you want wealth, but in your heart you fear losing it. You say you want love, but deep down you expect disappointment. You say you want success, but you hesitate, questioning whether you are truly capable. This inner conflict creates a contradiction in your energy. You are asking for abundance while simultaneously pushing it away. Letting go of this resistance means surrendering the need to control how things unfold. Many people try to dictate every detail, believing that manifestation must happen in a specific way. They want wealth, but believe it can only come through one particular source. They want love, but think it must come from a specific person. They want success, but feel it must happen according to their timeline. This rigid thinking limits what is possible. The moment you release control and trust that what you desire is already yours, the channels of abundance open. Faith is not merely believing that something will happen in the future. It is knowing that it is already done. It is walking as though your desire is fulfilled, feeling the joy of it now, living from the end result instead of waiting for proof. This is the shift that dissolves resistance, when you no longer look at circumstances to validate your belief, but instead let your belief dictate the circumstances. Reality must conform. A person who expects abundance finds themselves surrounded by it. They do not question whether they deserve it. They assume it is natural. They do not worry about how it will come. They know it must. This certainty is what allows abundance to flow freely. They walk with confidence, knowing that every need is already met, that every desire is already fulfilled. On the other hand, a person who questions their worth, who fears loss, who doubts their ability to succeed, creates a reality of limitation. They may work tirelessly, but no matter how much effort they exert, they remain stuck. Not because they're incapable, but because their consciousness is rooted in lack. There is nothing you need to chase. What you seek is already seeking you. The key is to stop standing in your own way. Stop looking to the outer world for proof. Stop questioning whether you are worthy. Stop hesitating out of fear of failure. The moment you truly let go of these mental chains, you will see how effortlessly abundance flows. Some will say, "But I have struggled for years. How can it be so simple?" The struggle was never necessary. It was a product of believing that abundance must be earned, that success must be fought for. The moment you accept that everything you desire is already available to you, the fight ends. You no longer need to push against reality, you simply align with it. Consider the stories of those who have transformed their lives seemingly overnight. The shift was never external first, it was internal. They reached a point where they could no longer accept limitation as their truth. They let go of struggle, released fear, and stepped into the feeling of already having what they wanted. And almost as if by magic, circumstances rearranged themselves. But it was not magic, it was the natural law of consciousness in action. Everything in your world is shaped by the assumptions you hold. The moment you accept that you are the operant power, you will no longer wait for signs, for permission, or for external forces to change before you believe in your own creation. You will act as if everything is already yours, because in truth it is. There is no separation between you and the reality you seek, except the veil of doubt that you place between yourself and your desires. If you desire love, wealth, success, or peace, you do not beg for it, you do not chase it, you embody it. You walk, speak, and breathe as if the world has already conformed to your will. You do not ask if the seed will grow, you plant it, knowing the harvest is inevitable. The same law applies to every desire. Assume it is done, and you will see it done. But if you look to the world for proof before you believe, you will forever remain in waiting. Your senses will deceive you if you allow them to dictate what is real. The external world is only the shadow cast by your inner state. If you persist in seeing lack, it is because you have accepted it as your truth. But the moment you change within, the reflection must follow. There is no other way. This is not wishful thinking, this is law. Do not concern yourself with how things will unfold. That is not your burden. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to the unseen reality until it becomes seen. Do not waver when the world appears unchanged. Do not let doubt creep in when the evidence is slow to arrive. Act as if everything is already in your hand, and it must take form. What you accept in imagination will harden into fact. What you assume to be true about yourself and the world around you becomes the foundation of your experience. Every moment, whether you are aware of it or not, you are shaping your reality through the beliefs you hold. The world is not happening to you, it is responding to you. It is a mirror reflecting back the assumptions you carry deep within. If you believe you are successful, the world will conform to that assumption. If you believe you are unloved, it will reflect that as well. There is no external force deciding your fate, only your own consciousness directing the play. From the moment you wake up to the time you fall asleep, every thought, every reaction, and every expectation is forming the blueprint of your world. The reality you live in is the sum total of what you have believed about yourself up to this point. The people you meet, the opportunities you attract, the obstacles you face, they all arise from the assumptions you have accepted as true. There is no exception to this. It is a universal law that what you persistently assume becomes fact. Most people move through life unaware of this truth. They believe they are at the mercy of circumstances, trapped by conditions outside their control. They look at their environment, their relationships, their finances, and they assume that reality is something separate from them. But reality is not something that exists independently of your perception, it is shaped by it. Your world is simply the crystallization of your inner state. What you consistently hold in your mind must express itself in your external life. This is why assumption is so powerful. It is not about wishing or hoping for something to change. It is about knowing with absolute certainty that what you accept in consciousness must manifest. If you assume wealth, you will see wealth reflected back to you. If you assume lack, you will experience lack. It does not matter what is currently in front of you. What matters is what you claim as your truth. The outer world is just a delayed expression of what has already been set in motion within. Many struggle to accept this because they have been conditioned to believe that change happens from the outside in. They think if they just work harder, if they just find the right opportunity, if they just meet the right person, then their life will improve. But they fail to see that everything begins within. Every action, every opportunity, every success or failure is first imagined before it is experienced. You cannot escape this truth. You are always assuming something, whether consciously or unconsciously, and those assumptions are writing the story of your life. If you want to change your reality, you must begin by changing your assumptions. This means you must stop reacting to the world as if it is fixed and unchangeable. You must stop reinforcing the same limiting beliefs that have kept you bound to unwanted circumstances. Instead, you must take control of your inner dialogue and shift your focus to the reality you wish to experience. You must assume with complete conviction that what you desire is already yours. This is not about pretending or forcing yourself to believe something you do not feel. It is about accepting it as an undeniable truth, as if it is the most natural thing in the world. When you assume something is true, you stop questioning it. You stop looking for proof. You stop doubting whether it will happen. You simply rest in the knowing that it already exists. Imagine how effortlessly you accept the reality of your name. You do not wake up each morning wondering if your name is real. You do not need external validation to confirm it. You just know it. That is the level of certainty you must cultivate with your assumptions. When you adopt this mindset, the world will shift to reflect it. You will begin to notice small changes at first, subtle shifts in the way people treat you, unexpected opportunities appearing, a sudden ease in situations that once seemed difficult. These are not coincidences. They are the first signs that your assumption is taking form. And as you persist, these small changes will come into undeniable that reality is molding itself to fit your new belief. Doubt is the only thing that can stand in your way. The moment you allow yourself to question whether your assumption is working, you create resistance. You fall back into the habit of looking to the external world for confirmation, and in doing so, you reinforce the old reality instead of the new one. This is why unwavering faith is essential. You must remain steadfast in your assumption, regardless of what appears in front of you. Do not waver. Do not let temporary setbacks shake your belief. Reality will always rearrange itself to match your dominant state of mind, but only if you do not interfere with the process by doubting it. Some may wonder, but what if my assumption feels false? What if I struggle to believe it? This is where persistence comes in. The mind is like a garden. If you have spent years planting seeds of doubt, fear, and limitation, it will take time to uproot them, replace them with new, empowering beliefs. But if you persist, if you continue to assume the truth of your desire, it will eventually become natural. Just as a seed does not grow into a tree overnight, your assumptions require time to take root and blossom into reality. The key is to live from the state of your wish fulfilled. Do not wait for proof before you act as if it is true. Embody the feeling now. Speak as if it done. Move through the world with the quiet confidence of someone who already possesses what they desire. When you do this, you accelerate the process of manifestation. You align yourself with the frequency of your desired reality, and it must come to you. There is no other possibility. This is the power of assumption. It is the secret that governs all creation. Whatever you accept in your mind, whatever you assume is your truth, must take shape in your life. You do not need to force it. You do not need to struggle. You only need to believe. And when you do, the world will bend to meet you. The way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you think, all of these reflect what you truly believe about your life. If you desire a new reality, you must begin by embodying it now. Not tomorrow, not when things start to change, but now. You must walk through life as though your wish is already fulfilled, as though everything you desire is already yours. This is not about pretending or forcing yourself to believe something you don't feel. It is about stepping into the version of yourself who already has what you seek. Most people wait for proof before they believe. They look at their bank account before feeling wealthy. They wait for someone to love them before they feel worthy of love. They look for external validation before they accept that they are successful. But this approach keeps them trapped in a cycle of lack and waiting. The truth is, the moment you decide something is yours and begin to act accordingly, the world must rearrange itself to reflect that new assumption. Your mind does not know the difference between what is physically real and what is vividly imagined. If you hold the image of your desired life so firmly that it feels real to you, your body and subconscious mind will respond as if it is happening now. You will carry yourself differently, speak differently, and think differently. You will radiate the energy of someone who already possesses what they desire, and the world will begin to mirror that back to you. This is not about forcing things to happen or taking unnecessary action out of desperation. Acting as if is about aligning your inner state with the reality you want to experience. It means making decisions from the mindset of someone who already has what they seek. If you were already wealthy, how would you feel when making financial decisions? If you were already in a loving relationship, how would you carry yourself? If you already had your dream job, how would you approach each day? The answers to these questions reveal the state of consciousness you must embody now. Many people misunderstand this principle. They think acting as if means spending recklessly to prove they are wealthy or pretending to be in a relationship that doesn't exist. But this is not about external actions, it is about internal transformation. Acting as if means shifting your inner dialogue, controlling your thoughts, and changing the way you respond to life. It means eliminating doubt and stepping into certainty. Think about how a confident person moves through the world. They do not seek validation because they already know their worth. They do not hesitate to speak their truth because they trust in themselves. They do not shrink in fear because they believe in their own power. This is the energy you must adopt when manifesting your desires. You must act as if you are already the person who has what you seek. There is a psychological reason why this works. Your subconscious mind is constantly observing your actions and reinforcing your beliefs. If you consistently act as if something is true, your subconscious will accept it as reality and begin to shape your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors accordingly. Over time, this shifts your entire vibration, and the world must respond. For example, if you assume the identity of someone who is successful, you will naturally start making choices that align with success. You will take opportunities you previously ignored. You will speak with authority. You will carry yourself with an energy that attracts success effortlessly. People will notice the shift in you. Doors will open where before there were only walls. The same applies to relationships. If you desire love, you must first become the version of yourself who is already deeply loved. This means treating yourself with kindness, setting boundaries, and refusing to chase validation. When you embody the energy of someone who is loved, love must appear in your life. The world cannot resist reflecting back the state you persistently occupy. One of the greatest challenges people face when acting as if is the temptation to look at their current reality for confirmation. They fall into the habit of measuring their progress based on what they see rather than what they know to be true within. But the outer world is simply a reflection of past assumptions. If you want to see a new reality, you must remain steadfast in your assumption, regardless of what appears before you. It is like planting a seed. When you plant a tree, you do not dig it up every day to see if it is growing. You trust the process. You water it, you give it sunlight, and you wait with certainty that in time it will sprout. Acting as if works the same way. Once you have assumed your new identity, you must persist in that assumption without constantly looking for proof. The proof will come, but only if you do not waver. Doubt is the only thing that can delay your manifestation. If you act as if for a few days but then fall back into old thought patterns, you send mixed signals to your subconscious mind. It is like planting a seed and then uprooting it before it has a chance to grow. You must remain unwavering. No matter what happens externally, hold on to your inner conviction. When challenges arise, do not revert to old assumptions. Instead, use them as opportunities to reinforce your new state. If something does not go your way, remind yourself, I already have what I seek. This is just an illusion. The more you persist in your assumption, the faster it will become your reality. Another powerful way to act as if is to practice gratitude. Gratitude is one of the strongest signals you can send to the universe that you already have what you desire. When you are truly grateful for something, it is because you believe it is already yours. Start thanking the universe now for what you seek, and you will accelerate its arrival. If you want to know whether you are truly acting as if, pay attention to your emotions. Are you feeling joy, confidence, and peace? Or are you still filled with worry and doubt? The state you occupy internally is what will manifest externally. If you find yourself feeling uncertain, take a moment to realign with the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and step into the reality where everything you desire is already yours. Eventually, this way of thinking and being will become second nature. You will no longer need to remind yourself to act as if, because it will simply be who you are. And when that happens, manifestation becomes effortless. The world will shift around you to match your inner state, and you will realize that the power was always within you. Your world is nothing more than a mirror reflecting the state of your mind. Everything you see, everything you experience is simply a projection of what you assume to be true. If you believe you are powerful, life will show you your power. If you believe you are weak, life will confirm your weakness. The key to transformation is understanding that the outer world does not create your inner state creates your outer world. Most people live reactively. They wake up each day and look to their circumstances to determine how they should feel. If things go well, they feel good. If things go poorly, they feel bad. They allow the outside world to dictate their emotions, their beliefs, and their sense of self. But this is completely backward. The outside world is simply a reflection of what has already been accepted in the mind. If you want to change what you see in your life, you must first change what you accept as true within yourself. Imagine looking into a mirror and seeing a frown on your face. If you wanted the reflection to smile, would you try to manipulate the image in the mirror? Would you reach out and attempt to change the expression on the glass? No, because you understand that the reflection is only responding to you. If you want to see a smile, you must first smile yourself. Life operates in exactly the same way. The world does not create your inner state, it reflects it. This is why assumptions are so powerful. Every assumption you hold shapes your reality in ways you may not even be aware of. If you assume people are untrustworthy, you will unconsciously behave in ways that confirm that assumption. You will be guarded, suspicious, and closed off, and in response, people will act distant and defensive around you. If you assume that opportunities are scarce, you will overlook the doors that are already open to you. But if you assume that life is always working in your favor, that you are loved, worthy, and abundant, then the world will bend to prove you right. Your assumptions are like seeds planted in the soil of your mind. Once they take root, they grow into experiences that reflect the nature of the seed. If you have spent years assuming lack, struggle, and limitation, then your world will be filled with those things. But the moment you change the seed, the moment you choose to assume abundance, joy, and success, your world must begin to shift. This is not about wishful thinking or forcing yourself to believe something you don't truly feel. It is about recognizing that everything begins in the mind. Your thoughts are not powerless, they are creative forces shaping the fabric of your reality. Every time you entertain a thought, you are reinforcing a state of being. If you persist in an assumption long enough, it becomes natural to you, and once it becomes natural, it must manifest in your world. Think about the way people hold themselves when they are truly confident. They do not try to be confident, they simply are. Their posture, their tone of voice, their energy all reflect an inner assumption of certainty. This is what you must do with every area of your life. Instead of waiting for external proof, you must first become the person who already has what they seek. Assume it so deeply that it feels natural, and the world will respond accordingly. If you want love, assume you are already deeply loved. If you want wealth, assume you are already wealthy. If you want success, assume that you are already successful. This is not about ignoring your present circumstances, it is about understanding that circumstances follow belief, not the other way around. The mind does not distinguish between reality and imagination. If you vividly imagine yourself living your ideal life, feeling the emotions of having it now, your subconscious will accept it as truth. And once your subconscious accepts something as true, your actions, habits, and even your energy will begin to align with that assumption. Many people struggle with this because they feel trapped by what they currently see. They want to believe in their new reality, but they keep checking their present circumstances for validation. This is like planting a seed and digging it up every day to see if it has grown. The key is to persist in the new assumption even when there is no physical evidence yet. Trust that the seed you have planted will grow in its own time. Doubt is the only thing that can delay your manifestation. If you spend half your time assuming your success and the other half worrying about failure, you are sending mixed signals to your subconscious mind. It is like trying to drive in two directions at once. You go nowhere. To see lasting change, you must commit fully to your new assumption, regardless of what appears before you. One of the most powerful ways to reinforce a new assumption is through repetition. Just as you have spent years repeating thoughts of limitation, you must now saturate your mind with thoughts of abundance and success. Speak as if your desire is already yours. Think from the state of the person who has already achieved what you seek. Act as though it is inevitable. With enough repetition, the new assumption will take root. And once it becomes your dominant belief, it will manifest effortlessly. Another powerful tool is visualization. Close your eyes and see yourself living your desired reality. Imagine the details. What does it feel like? What do you hear, see, and experience? Engage all your senses and make the image as vivid as possible. The more real it feels to you, the faster your subconscious will accept it as true. Gratitude is another way to cement your new assumption. When you are truly grateful for something, it is because you believe it is already yours. Begin thanking the universe now for the things you desire, as if they have already arrived. Gratitude signals to your subconscious that your wish is already fulfilled. And in turn, reality will rearrange itself to match that assumption. Every assumption you hold is like a command to the universe. Life does not question what you believe, it simply mirrors it back to you. If you assume struggle, you will find struggle. If you assume ease, you will find ease. The choice is always yours. You are never at the mercy of circumstances, you are the creator of them. If you want to test this for yourself, pick one small thing to assume. Something simple. Assume that today will be filled with moments of joy. Assume that someone will give you a compliment. Assume that something unexpected and wonderful will happen. Hold on to that assumption without doubting, and watch as the world reflects it back to you. Once you see this principle in action, you will realize that you have always been shaping your reality, whether consciously or unconsciously. The only question is, what are you choosing to assume? Are you assuming power, joy, and abundance? Or are you assuming lack, fear, and struggle? When you fully understand that reality is responding to your assumptions, you will no longer feel powerless. You will stop reacting to life and start directing it. You will no longer look outside of yourself for answers, because you will know that everything begins within. You will assume the best in every situation, and in doing so, you will create a life that reflects the truth of your limitless potential. Your world is not something happening to you, it is something happening through you. Every single experience you encounter is a reflection of your inner state, your beliefs, and the assumptions you hold about life. Most people live unaware of this truth, thinking they are at the mercy of external forces, circumstances, or fate. But the moment you realize that life is always responding to your consciousness, you step into your true power. You begin to see that you are not merely an observer but the creator of your reality. Most people believe that change happens outside of them first. They wait for circumstances to shift before they allow themselves to feel different. They wait for money to appear before they feel wealthy, for love to show up before they feel lovable, for success to come before they feel successful. But this is an illusion. Reality follows belief, not the other way around. When you fully grasp this, you stop waiting for proof and start living from the truth that everything you desire is already yours in consciousness. Your state of being is the cause. Your world is the effect. The way you feel, think, and assume determines what you experience. If you are in a state of lack, you will find more lack. If you are in a state of abundance, you will experience abundance. The state you occupy dictates the quality of your experiences, and the only way to shift your reality is to shift the state from which you are living. Imagine walking into a room filled with people. If you enter with the assumption that you are unwelcome or unworthy, you will unconsciously carry yourself in a way that reflects that belief. Your posture, your tone, your energy will signal to others that you feel out of place, and they will respond accordingly. But if you enter with the assumption that you belong, that you are valued, and that others enjoy your presence, you will carry yourself differently. The world will mirror back to you whatever you assume to be true. This principle applies to every area of life. If you assume success, you will move through the world with confidence, seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. If you assume failure, you will hesitate, second-guess yourself, and close doors before they even have the chance to open. Your assumptions shape the way you act, and your actions shape the reality you experience. Many people struggle with this concept because they are conditioned to believe that what they see is what is real. They look at their bank account, their relationships, or their circumstances and conclude that this is the ultimate truth. But the truth is not found in what is seen, it is found in what is unseen. The outer world is simply a shadow of the inner world. If you want to change the shadow, you must change the source. This is why persistence is so important. When you begin shifting your assumptions, the world does not always reflect the change immediately. Just as a planted seed does not sprout overnight, your inner work takes time to manifest in the outer world. Most people give up too soon, returning to their old assumptions because they do not yet see proof of change. But the secret is to persist in your new state of being, even when the evidence has not yet appeared. Reality must conform to your dominant state, it has no choice. One of the most powerful ways to reinforce your assumptions is through inner dialogue. Pay attention to the conversations you have with yourself throughout the day. Are you affirming the reality you desire, or are you dwelling in limitation? If you constantly think thoughts of doubt, worry, or fear, you are reinforcing the very conditions you want to escape. But if you begin to speak to yourself as someone who already has what they desire, you will shift your inner state, and the outer world will follow. Another powerful tool is embodiment. Instead of wishing for a new reality, step into the version of yourself who already has it. Ask yourself, how would I think, speak, and act if my desires were already fulfilled? What kind of energy would I carry? What kind of decisions would I make? When you begin to embody the state of having rather than the state of wanting, you align yourself with the reality you seek. This is not about pretending or forcing yourself to feel something that does not resonate. It is about training your mind to accept a new truth. The more you occupy the state of your fulfilled desire, the more natural it becomes. And once it feels natural, it must become your reality. Doubt is the only thing that can interfere with this process. If you entertain thoughts of what if it doesn't happen, or maybe this won't work for me, you introduce resistance. The key is to let go of these doubts and trust that the universe is always responding to your state of being. There is no force outside of you deciding what you can or cannot have. The only limits are the ones you impose through your own assumptions. Gratitude is one of the simplest and most effective ways to shift your state. When you are grateful, you signal to your subconscious that your desires are already fulfilled. Begin each day by giving thanks for what you already have and for what is on its way to you. Feel the gratitude as if your desire has already manifested. The more you live in this state, the more quickly your reality will rearrange itself to match your assumption. Visualization is another powerful tool. Close your eyes and imagine yourself living your ideal life. See the details, hear the sounds, feel the emotions. Make it as real as possible. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined, if whatever you impress upon it will become your experience. Every day you have the choice to live from a state of limitation or a state of expansion. You can choose to assume the best or the worst. You can choose to see yourself as powerful or powerless. The world is not deciding for you, you are deciding for yourself. When you take full responsibility for your inner state, you reclaim your ability to shape your reality. If you want to test this for yourself, start small. Pick one thing to assume. Assume that something wonderful will happen today. Assume that you are deeply loved. Assume that success comes easily to you. Hold on to that assumption, no matter what, and watch how life responds. The moment you stop reacting to the world and start directing it, everything changes. You no longer wait for external validation because you know that reality is only ever reflecting back what you accept as true. You no longer seek outside confirmation because you understand that the only confirmation you need is within. The world is simply your mirror, and it will always show you exactly what you assume to be real. You are not a passive observer of life, you are its creator. The world you experience is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state, shaped by your assumptions, beliefs, and dominant thoughts. The moment you accept this truth, you step into your true power. You no longer wait for circumstances to change, you become the change. Act as if everything is in your hands because it is. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Persist in the state of already having what you desire, and reality will conform to your assumption. The outer world must reflect what you hold within, for that is the law. There is nothing outside of you deciding what is possible. The only limits are the ones you accept as real. If you can see it in your mind and feel it as true, then it is yours. Walk in that knowing. Think from your desire, not of it. Speak, act, and live as though your dream is already your reality. As you do, life will rearrange itself in ways you never imagined. Opportunities will arise, people will align, and circumstances will shift in your favor. But it all begins within you. Trust in the unseen, persist in the feeling, and watch as the world bends to the power of your assumption. Everything begins and ends in the mind. There is no force outside of you shaping your world, no external hand scripting the events of your life. The only thing that truly moves you forward is the belief you hold about yourself. If you desire change, if you wish to see a different reflection in the mirror of your reality, then you must act as if you alone are enough, because you are. To act as if you only need yourself is not arrogance. It is not isolation. It is the quiet, unshakable knowing that you are the cause, the origin, the architect that unfolds before you. You do not wait for circumstances to shift, for people to validate your worth, or for luck to smile upon you. You step into the version of yourself that already has what you seek, and the world arranges itself accordingly. Imagine for a moment that you are already the person you long to be. Not in some distant future, not when conditions are right, but now. Close your eyes and feel it. How would you stand? How would you speak? How would you carry yourself if you knew, beyond doubt, that you lacked nothing? Walk in that certainty. Let it fill your every movement, your every word, your every breath. Do not seek, do not beg, do not hope, assume. The moment you assume something to be true, you set into motion the unseen forces that make it so. Nothing in this world has power over you unless you grant it. No rejection, no failure, no delay can define you unless you accept it as your truth. To act as if you only need yourself is to claim dominion over your life. It is to live from the end, to rest in the fulfillment of your desires before they have physically appeared. The world may call it delusion, But the world does not understand the laws by which reality is shaped. You do. Look around you. Every structure, every invention, every work of art began as an unseen reality in the mind of its creator. There was no proof, no evidence, no tangible sign that it would come to be only the certainty of the one who imagined it. If they had waited for permission, for circumstances to align, they would have created nothing. But they did not wait. They acted as if their vision was already real, and in doing so, they pulled it into existence. You are no different. You do not need validation. You do not need permission. You do not need anything outside of you to confirm what you already know within. The moment you decide that you are enough, that you are capable, that you already are what you seek to become, the outer world bends to reflect that decision. You do not chase, you do not struggle, you do not wish, you become. And when you become, the world has no choice but to follow. Everything you experience in life is a direct reflection of what you assume to be true. The outer world is not something separate from you, it is a mirror, constantly reflecting the state of your inner world. Most people believe that life is happening to them, that circumstances are beyond their control, and that they are subject to forces outside of themselves. But this is an illusion. The truth is, you are the cause of everything that unfolds in your reality. Nothing appears in your world without first being accepted in your mind. Consider for a moment the experiences you have had in your life. The patterns, the events, the relationships, everything that has come to you has been the result of the beliefs you have held, whether consciously or unconsciously. There is no randomness, no accidents, no coincidences. The world is a precise and perfect reflection of the assumptions you have made. If you believe yourself to be unloved, the world will give you evidence to support that belief. If you see yourself as prosperous, opportunities will flow to you effortlessly. If you assume success, success becomes inevitable. The idea that you are the cause of your reality may be difficult to accept at first, especially when faced with circumstances that seem unfair or painful. It is easy to believe that external forces, other people, society, luck, fate are responsible for the conditions of your life. But the moment you accept that you alone determine what manifests in your experience, you step into true power. You are no longer a victim of life, you become the creator of it. To understand this fully, you must first recognize that everything begins in the mind. Every event, every interaction, every moment you experience originates from the beliefs you hold about yourself and the world. If you believe the world is full of struggle, you will experience struggle. If you assume people cannot be trusted, you will find yourself surrounded by untrustworthy people. If you expect rejection, you will continue to encounter situations that confirm that expectation. But if you shift your assumptions, if you begin to see yourself as worthy, as capable, as someone who is always in the right place at the right time, life will reshape itself accordingly. The power of assumption is absolute. What you assume to be true hardens into fact. This is why those who expect the worst often receive it, and those who walk through life with confidence and certainty seem to have things effortlessly fall into place. The outer world is simply reflecting their inner conviction. You are no different. When you accept the truth that you are the cause, you begin to see how much power you truly have. There is nothing outside of you that can impose itself upon your life unless you allow it. No one can make you feel inferior unless you accept that inferiority as your truth. No situation can make you feel powerless unless you decide to see yourself as powerless. Every reaction, every interpretation, every emotional response is a choice, and that choice shapes what comes next. If you refuse to accept limitations, the world will remove them. If you persist in an assumption of success, success must come. Most people spend their lives reacting. They react to circumstances, to other people's opinions, to the past, to fear. They believe that their emotions and experiences are dictated by what happens outside of them. But those who understand the truth know that life does not happen to them, it happens through them. You do not respond to life, life responds to you. The moment you change your internal state, the outer world must shift to reflect it. If you wish to see proof of this, look at those around you. Notice the people who are always complaining, always expecting things to go wrong, always preparing for disappointment. What do their lives look like? They are filled with the very struggles they fear. Now observe those who walk with an air of certainty, who expect things to work out for them, who believe they are lucky. Their lives reflect that assumption. They receive opportunities, they attract the right people, they seem to flow effortlessly toward what they want. This is not luck. This is not chance. This is the law in action. If you want to change your life, you must begin by changing what you accept as true. This means no longer allowing external circumstances to dictate your beliefs. If something unfavorable appears in your reality, you must not accept it as permanent. You must remind yourself that it is simply an old belief manifesting, and that it can be replaced at any moment by a new assumption. Do not let the present define the future. Instead, let your chosen future dictate what the present must become. Your job is not to force the outer world to change. It is not to fight against circumstances or to push harder in the physical realm. Your only task is to change your inner world to hold steadfastly to the assumption of what you desire as if it is already true. When you persist in that assumption, everything around you will shift to align with it. This is not wishful thinking. It is the fundamental principle that governs reality. Think of a time when something worked out for you in an unexpected way. Perhaps you desired something deeply, but instead of worrying about how it would happen, you simply accepted it as done. You knew it was yours, and then without effort the pieces fell into place. That was not an accident. That was you operating in alignment with the truth that you are the cause. The moment you let go of doubt and lived in the feeling of having it, reality conformed to your assumption. Now imagine applying this principle to every aspect of your life. Imagine walking through the world knowing that nothing is outside of your control, that everything you need is already within you. Imagine acting as if you already possess the confidence, the success, the love, the abundance you desire. This is how reality is created, not by waiting, not by hoping, but by assuming. When you accept that you are the cause of your reality, you no longer look to others for validation. You do not need approval, permission, or external proof before you believe in yourself. You do not rely on circumstances to dictate how you feel. Instead, you decide how you wish to feel, and you assume it to be true. The outer world will then move to reflect that decision. Everything is a reflection. If you want to know what you truly believe about yourself, look at your life. What shows up repeatedly? What patterns persist? These are the indicators of your dominant assumptions. If something undesirable keeps appearing, do not fight it, change your assumption. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances, declare yourself the creator. Instead of asking why something keeps happening, assume the reality you desire and persist in that assumption until it hardens into fact. Most people allow the outer world to dictate their inner state. They see circumstances they do not like, and they assume that is just the way things are. But those who understand the law know that circumstances are nothing more than past assumptions playing out. They do not give power to appearances, they give power to their chosen reality. They decide what is true for them, and they persist in that truth until the world has no choice but to reflect it. If you wish to transform your life, begin now. Assume the best about yourself. Assume the best about your future. Assume that everything is working in your favor. Do not wait for proof. Do not look to the outer world for confirmation. Decide within yourself what is true, and the world will follow. You are the cause. You always have been. The secret to transformation lies in your ability to assume the feeling of already having what you desire. This is not a process of wishful thinking or idle daydreaming. It is the most powerful force in shaping reality. The moment you embrace a new state of being and persist in that assumption, the world must shift to reflect it. You do not wait for proof. You do not wait for circumstances to confirm it. You decide that it is already true. Most people believe that they must see something in order to believe it. They wait for external validation before they allow themselves to feel successful, abundant, or loved. But this is the reverse of how reality works. The truth is that belief precedes evidence. What you assume to be true in your mind must eventually materialize in your world. If you assume wealth, you will find yourself moving in ways that attract prosperity. If you assume love, you will naturally radiate the energy that draws it toward you. If you assume success, you will walk with a confidence that causes opportunities to appear. This is not about forcing anything. It is not about pretending or trying to convince yourself of something you do not truly believe. It is about stepping into the version of yourself that already exists in your imagination and allowing that state to become your dominant reality. The world you experience is simply a reflection of what you accept as true. You must decide what is true for you and live in that truth before you see any evidence of it. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the life you desire, not as something distant, not as something you are striving for, but as something already yours. Feel what it would be like to wake up in that reality. What would you do? How would you move? How would you speak? What thoughts would fill your mind? What emotions would you feel? Let yourself become immersed in the experience as if it were happening right now. This is the key. Your ability to feel it now, to embody the state of already having it, is what brings it into being. Most people get caught up in the how and the when, constantly looking outside themselves for signs that their desire is coming. But the moment you look for confirmation in the outer world, you have already stepped out of the assumption that it is done. You are signaling to yourself that you do not yet have it. This is why persistence in assumption is everything. You do not entertain doubts. You do not waver between believing and questioning. You assume and you remain in that assumption until it crystallizes into your reality. Think of someone who naturally attracts the things they desire. They do not chase, they do not struggle, they do not worry. They simply expect good things to happen, and so they do. Their expectations shape their world, not the other way around. They may not even be aware that they are applying this principle, but it is working for them nonetheless. They assume the feeling of having, and life aligns with that assumption. Now consider someone who is always struggling, always waiting for things to change before they allow themselves to feel happy or secure. They place their faith in external circumstances, and because they assume struggle continues to appear. Their emotions fluctuate based on what is happening around them, and so they remain trapped in a cycle of reacting instead of creating. They do not realize that if they simply changed their assumption, if they truly stepped into the feeling of already having what they seek, their world would begin to shift accordingly. The greatest mistake people make is believing that their current reality is fixed. They look at their bank account, their relationships, their circumstances, and they accept them as unchangeable facts. But what they fail to see is that everything in the outer world is simply a reflection of past assumptions. The present moment is nothing more than a projection of previous thoughts and beliefs. If you do not like what you see, you do not try to fight against it. You assume a new reality within yourself, and you persist in that state until it manifests. It is not enough to think about what you want. You must feel it. You must become it. The energy you radiate, the way you carry yourself, the way you think and speak, all of these things must align with the reality you wish to experience. If you desire wealth, you cannot continue to dwell in thoughts of lack. If you desire love, you cannot walk through life feeling unworthy or desperate. If you desire success, you cannot allow fear and doubt to dictate your actions. Everything you need is already within you. The version of yourself that has everything you seek is not separate from you. It exists right now, waiting for you to claim it. The only difference between where you are and where you want to be is your assumption. The moment you assume the feeling of already having, the moment you step into that state with full conviction, the outer world begins to shift in ways you cannot predict. You do not need to force anything to happen. You do not need to struggle or push or prove yourself. You simply need to persist in the assumption of your desired state, knowing that reality has no choice but to reflect it. This is not magic, it is not luck. It is the fundamental law by which reality operates. Everything that has ever been created, every great achievement, every success story, every breakthrough, none of it happened by chance. It all began with an assumption. Someone, somewhere, decided that a thing was possible, that it was already theirs, and they persisted in that belief until it became real. They did not wait for evidence, they did not wait for permission, they did not wait for circumstances to change. They assumed, and their assumption became fact. Now apply this to your own life. Stop looking at what is and start focusing on what you have decided is true. Stop waiting for things to change before you feel different. Decide right now that you are already living in the reality you desire. Walk in that knowing. Let your thoughts, your emotions, your actions reflect that certainty. Assume it is done, and the world will have no choice but to confirm it. Everything you seek is already yours the moment you claim it in your mind. The only question is whether you will persist in that knowing or allow doubt and external circumstances to pull you away. The choice is always yours. The outer world is nothing but a reflection of your inner state. Everything you experience, everything you see, and everything that comes into your life is a mirror of what you assume to be true. Most people believe they must react to circumstances, that they must change something in the external world in order to feel different inside. But the truth is the opposite. Change begins within. The world does not cause your inner state causes the world you experience. If you walk through life assuming that you are small, insignificant, and powerless, then everything around you will reflect that assumption. You will find evidence that supports it. You will attract situations that reinforce it. The people you encounter will treat you as you expect to be treated. But the moment you change your assumption, the world must follow. If you begin to carry yourself with confidence, if you assume that you are worthy, valuable, and capable, then life will shape itself around that new belief. This is why it is said that consciousness is the only reality. There is no external force shaping your life. There is no outside power determining your fate. Everything begins and ends with the way you perceive yourself and the world around you. The moment you change your assumption, the moment you accept a new state of being, reality begins to shift. It must. It has no choice, because the outer world is simply a projection of what you hold within. This understanding is what separates those who create their reality from those who feel like victims of it. Most people believe they are at the mercy of circumstances. They think they must wait for conditions to improve before they can feel happy, successful, or fulfilled. But those who understand this law do not wait. They decide. They assume the feeling of already having what they desire, and they live from that state. They do not react to what is, they create what will be. The moment you realize that the world is a reflection of your inner assumptions, everything changes. You stop blaming circumstances, other people, or past experiences. You recognize that everything you see is simply a reflection of your own consciousness. And because of that, you understand that you have the power to shift it at any time. The version of reality you experience is not set in stone. It is fluid, changeable, and entirely within your control. If you assume that you are successful, then success must manifest in your life. If you assume that you are loved, then love must find you. If you assume that you are abundant, then opportunities for abundance will appear. The outer world can do nothing but reflect back to you what you believe to be true. This is why it is said that life is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whatever you hold as true in your mind, whatever you persist in assuming, must eventually become your reality. But most people do the opposite. They wait for the mirror to change before they change their expression. They look at their current circumstances and take them as fixed reality instead of understanding that they are only the result of past assumptions. They see lack, and so they assume lack. They see failure, and so they assume failure. And in doing so, they continue to create the very conditions they wish to escape. To break free from this cycle, you must act as if what you desire is already true. You must persist in the feeling of having it, even before there is any visible evidence. You do not wait for proof. You do not wait for validation from the outer world. You assume the state of already being, having and experiencing all that you wish for. And when you do, the world around you has no choice but to conform. Everything you assume about yourself is being mirrored back to you in every moment. If you believe that people do not respect you, you will find yourself in situations where that belief is proven right. If you believe that success is difficult, you will encounter obstacles that confirm that assumption. But if you shift your perspective, if you begin to assume that success flows to you easily, that people naturally respect and admire you, then life will rearrange itself accordingly. This is not about wishful thinking. It is not about hoping or waiting for something to change. It is about stepping into a new state of being and refusing to entertain anything that contradicts it. You do not allow old doubts to creep in. You do not let past failures dictate your future. You assume a new reality, and you persist in that assumption until it hardens into fact. The key is to live from the end. You do not think about your desire as something you are trying to attain. You embody it as if it were already yours. If you desire wealth, you do not think of yourself as someone trying to become wealthy. You think, feel, and act as someone who already is. If you desire love, you do not see yourself as someone searching for love. You assume the state of already being deeply loved and cherished. Most people think that they will feel happy, confident, or successful once their outer circumstances change. But the truth is, you must feel those things first, and then the circumstances will change. The feeling is the cause, and the external event is the effect. The mistake most people make is believing it works the other way around. You are never waiting for life to give you permission to be who you want to be. You do not need external conditions to align before you step into your desired state. You decide, and then life must follow. The moment you embody the state of having, you set the wheels of reality in motion. Doors open, opportunities arise, and the world shifts in ways you could not have predicted. This is why assumption is everything. What you assume to be true is what your world reflects back to you. If you assume struggle, you will find struggle. If you assume ease, you will experience ease. If you assume rejection, you will encounter rejection. If you assume that you are loved, valued, and value supported, then life will mirror that back to you in ways that seem almost magical. Everything begins within. There is nothing outside of you controlling your destiny. There is no force shaping your life beyond your own consciousness. The world is your mirror, and it is reflecting your assumptions at all times. If you do not like what you see, do not try to change the mirror, change yourself. Change the way you see yourself. Change the way you think, feel, and assume. Persist in the new assumption, and the mirror of life will shift accordingly. Most people believe they must fight against circumstances to change them. But the only battle that ever needs to be won is the one within. The moment you decide that something is true for you, and you persist in that assumption, the outer world must adjust. It does not matter if there is no evidence at first. It does not matter if everything around you seems to contradict your new belief. You do not look to the world for validation. You remain steadfast in your assumption, knowing that the reflection must change to match the image you hold within. The world is not separate from you. It is not something outside of you that must be controlled or manipulated. It is simply a reflection of what you believe. When you grasp this, you no longer feel powerless. You no longer wait for circumstances to shift before you allow yourself to feel the way you want to feel. You understand that the power has always been within you, and that the moment you assume a new reality, the world has no choice but to comply. You do not need anyone else to validate your dreams, your worth, or your desires. The moment you seek approval from others, you hand over your power. You make them the authority over your life. But the truth is, no one outside of you has the power to determine what you can or cannot be, do, or have. The only validation that matters is the one you give yourself. The moment you decide that you are enough, that you are capable, that you are worthy, the entire universe bends to accommodate your belief. Most people move through life waiting for permission. They wait for someone to recognize their value before they believe in themselves. They wait for external circumstances to align before they take action. They look to others for reassurance, for confirmation that they are on the right path. But all of this is an illusion. The only thing that shapes your reality is what you assume to be true about yourself. The moment you claim your own power without needing validation from anyone else, everything shifts. If you believe you are worthy of love, then love will find you. If you believe you are successful, success will flow effortlessly into your life. If you believe you are powerful, the world will reflect that power back to you. But if you wait for someone else to acknowledge these things before you accept them as true, you will remain stuck. You must decide first. You must assume the state of already being all that you desire to be. The world does not tell you who you are, you tell the world who you are. And it simply reflects your assumption. People often hold themselves back because they fear judgment. They are afraid of what others will think, afraid of being rejected, afraid of standing alone. But the need for approval is just another form of self-doubt. It is a signal that you have not yet fully stepped into your power. The moment you realize that you do not need anyone else's permission, you become free. You no longer hesitate, you no longer shrink yourself to fit someone else's expectations. You move through life with confidence, knowing that your worth is not dependent on the opinions of others. Everything in life is energy, and the energy you put out is what you attract. If you walk through life seeking approval, you will attract situations that reinforce your need for validation. You will find yourself constantly looking outward for reassurance, constantly wondering if you are enough. But if you walk through life with the knowing that you are already complete, that you already have everything you need within you, then life will reflect that truth. You will attract people who respect you, opportunities that align with your desires, and circumstances that confirm your inner state. The world is a mirror, and it reflects back to you whatever you hold as true in your mind. If you believe that you need others to validate you, you will continue to find yourself in situations where you feel unworthy or uncertain. But if you decide that you need nothing outside of yourself to feel whole, then you will experience a reality where you are completely self-sufficient, where everything flows to you effortlessly. Most people misunderstand the way reality works. They believe that they must convince others of their worth before they can feel worthy. They believe they must prove themselves before they can be confident. But this is the opposite of how creation works. You must first embody the feeling of already being what you desire, and then the world will mirror that state back to you. The external world does not create your inner state creates the external world. When you no longer seek validation, you become untouchable. No one's opinion can shake you. No rejection can harm you. No external setback can make you doubt yourself. You move through life with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their power. And because you do not need approval, you naturally attract respect, admiration, and success. People are drawn to those who do not seek validation because they sense an energy of certainty, of strength, of knowing. The irony is that when you no longer need approval, you receive it effortlessly. When you no longer seek love, it comes to you freely. When you no longer chase success, it flows into your life. This is because your inner state is the cause, and the outer world is only the effect. When you operate from a place of self-sufficiency, the universe arranges itself to reflect your completeness. The moment you stop needing anything outside of yourself, you gain everything. This is not about arrogance or isolation. It is not about rejecting others or living without connection. It is about knowing that your sense of self-worth is not dependent on anyone else. You can love others deeply. You can share your life with them, but you do not need their validation to feel whole. Your wholeness comes from within. And because of that, your relationships become stronger. Your connections become deeper, because they are no longer built on dependency. They are built on mutual respect, on true appreciation, on a foundation of strength rather than need. Most people believe they need something outside of themselves to feel complete. They believe they need a relationship to feel loved, success to feel worthy, money to feel secure. But all of these things are effects, not causes. The cause is always within. The feeling of love, worth, and security must come first, and then the external conditions will follow. When you embody the state of already being complete, the world has no choice but to reflect that truth. Nothing outside of you has any power over you. No person, no situation, no past experience can dictate your worth. The moment you recognize this, you become truly free. You stop waiting. You stop hesitating. You stop seeking approval because you know that the only validation that matters is the one you give yourself. You assume the feeling of already being all that you desire, and you live from that state. And as you do, the world adjusts itself to match your new reality. This is the secret to effortless creation. You do not need to force anything. You do not need to struggle. You simply assume the state of already being, already having, already knowing that you are complete. And when you do, the world conforms. People treat you with respect because you respect yourself. Opportunities arise because you already see yourself as successful. Love flows into your life because you already feel love. The outer world is only a reflection of the inner world. When you change within, everything outside of you must change as well. There is no external force that decides what you can or cannot have. There is no authority outside of you determining your destiny. The only power is within. The only truth is the one you choose to accept. The only validation you will ever need is your own. The moment you embrace this fully, the moment you decide that you are enough as you are, the entire universe rearranges itself in your favor. You are the creator of your own reality. There is no one else to convince, no one else to persuade. You do not need approval. You do not need permission. You only need to assume the state of already being what you desire and persist in that assumption. The world is your mirror, and it can only reflect back to you what you hold as true within yourself. If you claim your power now, if you decide in this very moment that you are already everything you desire to be, then life will respond accordingly. The outer world must change because it is only ever a reflection of you. Your imagination is the only reality. Everything you see in the external world is a reflection of what first existed in the mind. Nothing appears in your life unless it has first been accepted within you as real. The moment you understand this, you become free. You are no longer bound by circumstances, by conditions, or by the opinions of others. You are only bound by what you assume to be true about yourself and your world. Most people live their lives reacting to what they see. They believe in what their senses tell them, never realizing that what they perceive is only the effect of an internal cause. They see lack and believe in lack. They see rejection and believe in rejection. They see failure and assume failure. But all of this is backward. The world is not dictating to you what is real, you are dictating to the world. The moment you accept something as real in your imagination, it must manifest in the world around you. Creation is finished. Everything you could ever desire, everything you could ever wish to experience already exists. There is no need to struggle, no need to chase, no need to fight against the world. The only work you need to do is within. You must enter the state of the wish fulfilled, assume it to be true, and persist in that assumption until the world conforms to your belief. This is the only law. The outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state. If you wish to be loved, you must assume that you are already loved. If you wish to be successful, you must assume that you are already successful. If you wish to be free, you must assume that you are already free. The mistake most people make is waiting for the world to change before they believe. They wait for proof, for signs, for confirmation from others. But this is not how reality works. The world does not change first. You change first and the world follows. You have been given the greatest gift, your imagination. It is the creative power of the universe, and it is entirely under your control. You can imagine yourself into any state, into any reality, into any experience you desire. The moment you persist in the assumption that what you desire is already yours, it must appear in your life. There is no other possibility. The world is only a shadow of what you believe to be true. Doubt is the only thing that stands in your way. The moment you allow doubt to creep in, you undo your own creation. Most people spend their lives oscillating between faith and fear, between belief and doubt. They imagine their desire, and then they look to the world for evidence. When they do not see it immediately, they assume it is submitting. They fall back into their old state, and the world reflects that back to them. This is why so many fail to manifest their desires. They do not persist in their assumption. Faith is nothing more than loyalty to your unseen reality. It is the refusal to be swayed by appearances, the unwavering belief that what you have imagined is already true. The moment you adopt this faith, the world has no choice but to conform. It is not a question of if, it is only a question of when. If you understand this, you will never again struggle to create. You will never again look to the outside world for validation. You will know that all you need is within you. You will walk in the assumption of already having your desire, already being who you wish to be, already living the life you choose. And as you persist in that state, the world will shift to match it. Most people do not realize how simple this is. They believe that manifestation requires effort, hard work, and struggle. But the truth is, creation is effortless. It happens automatically according to your dominant assumptions. The only difficulty is in changing your assumptions, in disciplining your mind to remain faithful to what you desire, rather than what your senses tell you. The only battle is within. The only work is to remain in the state of the wish fulfilled, even when the world shows you the opposite. If you can do this, if you can persist in your assumption no matter what, then there is nothing you cannot create. You do not need to ask for permission. You do not need to seek approval. You do not need anyone else to believe in you. The only belief that matters is your own. The only reality that matters is the one you accept in your mind. The world is only a mirror, and it will always reflect back to you what you assume to be true. Every great creator has understood this. They did not wait for the world to give them proof. They did not seek validation from others. They simply assumed the state of already having what they desired, and they persisted in that assumption until the world conformed. This is the only way creation works. There is no outside force controlling your life. There is no destiny written for you that you cannot change. The only thing shaping your experience is your own imagination. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you take full responsibility for your reality, the sooner you will see the evidence of your power. Most people fear taking responsibility for their own creation. They would rather blame circumstances, blame others, blame fate. But to do so is to give away your power. The moment you accept that you are the creator of your own experience, you become free. You no longer wait for things to change, you change them yourself. You no longer seek answers outside of you, you look within. All things are possible to the one who believes. This is not just a saying, not just a hopeful idea. It is the law of reality. The only thing determining what is possible for you is what you believe to be possible. The moment you expand your assumptions, the moment you accept a new reality in your mind, the world will adjust itself accordingly. There is no limitation except the ones you place upon yourself. There is no external force holding you back. There is only your own acceptance or rejection of what is possible. The world is not separate from you, it is you, reflected back at you. The sooner you understand this, the sooner you will stop looking outside of yourself for answers, for solutions, for change. Everything you desire is already yours. It is already created. The only thing keeping it from appearing in your life is your own doubt, your own hesitation, your own belief in limitation. The moment you let go of these doubts and accept the reality of your wish fulfilled, everything changes. You do not need anyone else to tell you that you can have what you desire. You do not need anyone to approve of your dreams. The only approval you need is your own. The only permission you need is the one you give yourself. Your imagination is the only reality. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you will see the proof. The world is waiting to conform to your assumptions. The only question is, what will you assume to be true?